Hey, all you Arizona lovers. This is the Finding Arizona podcast. I'm your host, Jose.
And I'm your producer, Brittany.
And here at Finding Arizona podcast, we collect the local stories of all entrepreneurs and from around the valley. So join us at findingarizonapodcast.com, where you can hear every episode and see it as well at
YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment below who you want to see next on our show. And when you're ready to start your podcast, you found the right spot. Found House, your next podcast production company.
Now, let's get back to the show. Score big with SeatGeek. Whether it's concerts, sports, or live events, SeatGeek has you covered. Use code FindingArizona to get a fantastic $20 discount on your SeatGeek tickets. Catch your favorite live events hassle-free with extra savings. Visit SeatGeek.com and make every experience unforgettable. Welcome back, everybody, to the Finding Arizona podcast. I'm your host, Jose, and as always, we bring in very special guests every week. And today, I'd love to introduce Phillip here. Phillip will be talking to us about his life with cerebral palsy, combined with his variety of experience as a child actor, model, journalist, and now as a comedian and educator and person who lets everyone in about his disability, but also tries to build community at the same time. Please welcome Phillip Bramwell. Phillip, welcome.
Thank you, Jose, for having me. And thank you, folks, for tuning in.
I appreciate your little intro there, because I've always found it very, from a standpoint of an entertainer, you're always trying to make sure you're talking to the audience and making sure that you're always trying to give them something. So that's definitely right up your alley today. I'll ask you the question that we typically ask everyone is, give us a little bit of your origin story of, I know that having this lifelong thing as attached to you can be one part a growing, something that you grow into, but also another part of it's very personal. It's very much just a part of you, your life, and your family's life. Just give us a little bit about growing up with it.
Absolutely. So my origin of my disability, which is cerebral palsy, it was caused because I'm a triplet and we were born 3 months early, premature.
Yeah.
So we were very underweight and we had a lot of health problems due to our prematurity.
Yeah.
My brother and sister, they don't have cerebral palsy or anything permanent. But they did have some initial health problems.
Mm-hmm.
And my cerebral palsy, which is a brain injury, it was caused by that premature birth. And even though they stabilized me so that I could live and survive, the brain damage itself is lifelong. So it impacts me, particularly in my 4 limbs, both arms and both legs.
Yeah.
It affects balance, motor, and my speech as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's, again, what I'm talking about here is something that is personal to you and something that you've kind of lived with your entirety of your life. And so I'm coming in with this with the purpose of educating one another and just listening and trying to help people understand, that in itself is a challenge, because you're kind of having to really kind of work around just something that is simplistic as holding a cup, something as easy as going to the bathroom by yourself. All of these things have extra attached to it. So my question to you is, growing up with cerebral palsy, I imagine there were moments, hard moments with your loved ones, but as you've grown into it or kind of grown up with it, what were the funny moments like? What were the sibling moments like with you and your brother and your sister?
That's a great question. So I'm a triplet, so we're all the same age.
Yeah.
And so that played a big factor that all 3 of us grew up experiencing the same things at the same time.
Yeah.
The same grade level, etc.
Yeah.
And so I like to say that my brother and my sister were very equal opportunity, as I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So that meant, on the funny or the interesting side.
Yeah.
I had to take a lot of beat downs, and
Yeah.
and they were very tough on me. They didn't
Sure.
cut me any slack
Sure.
because of my disability. They always knew I was disabled, of course, but to them, I was just Philip, their brother,
Yeah.
and so I really appreciate them and for the way that they came up with me, because it helps me today be a stronger and more resilient person.
Absolutely. I think that 100%. The dynamic that you have with your siblings really kind of shows not who you are as a person, but who your whole family is overall altogether, and their perseverance to kind of one, look at you just like a normal person without disabilities, and give you the opportunities to fail, give you opportunities to challenge yourselves. All these things really kind of culminate into the person that you are today. I think having those with you, those loved ones, your brother, your sister, your parents, really gives you an opportunity to like see how much you can gain on your own, because they will be the one who are like, oh man, I got to step in and help out. Or, I definitely think he can do this on his own. Let's see what he's capable of. And so all of that to say is I'm glad that you had that experience, because I feel like with anything in life, you have to see where you're at. Like you have to kind of just dive right in with that challenge, because it really goes to show it's like, I can do something if I put my mind to it, or I can do something if I really work at it. So kudos to your brother and sister for like giving you not only someone that can show you, hey, look, we can do this. Like we're all growing up at the same pace. Here are some of the ways that we do it, and let's see how you do it on your end. Like, here's your opportunity, your chance. So I think that's interesting to me, because it's, again, I have a younger brother. My whole thing was about protecting him. My whole life in itself was like making sure that I showed him the right way to do it, so that he doesn't have to go through the difficulties of like, oh man, that's the really bad way to do it, or that's really wrong. Here, watch me do it, so that you can at least know it's somewhere in this vicinity, like somewhere in this way of doing it, you can find out how your way. I'd love to ask about your parents. Like, imagine triplets going around the house. Like, what did they do? Like, what did they do for careers? On top of that, like, I imagine it's like, what did comedy mean to them?
So my parents, neither of them are comedians or any sort of entertainers.
Yeah.
My mom is a physician, and my dad does pharmaceutical related work, to keep it simple.
Yeah.
But neither one of them are comedians, actors, or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
So as far as I know, in my family tree, I'm the first and only entertainment
That's awesome.
guy.
That's awesome. That's again, it's like you never know where life is going to take you, and to have children, all you want for them is for the best, and give them the opportunities to really try something that they love and are passionate about. So finding out that you, being one of very few many, have a passion for entertainment, and then on top of that, you're the first in your family, is really something. It goes to show it's like life will throw you some curveballs, and it's really cool that you came out the way, like your ideas of like comedy and entertainment came out the way they did. So now I want to ask you, it's like, what were you doing growing up? That's why comedy affected you so much, and wanted it to be a part of your life. Like, were you watching cartoons? Were you watching Johnny Carson? Like, what were you watching as a kid, and what were you seeing with your eyes about entertainment and comedy that made you want to try it so bad?
Oh, sure. So I'm 27 years old. I grew up I was born in the late 90s.
Yeah.
So I was a late 90s, early 2000s kid. So that means, I was watching Full House,
Yeah.
Family Matters, Sweet Life with Zach and Cody.
Awesome.
Those were my childhood, TV shows that I enjoyed. And I actually saw an episode of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody on Disney Channel.
Yeah.
And they did an episode on wheelchair basketball.
Oh,
Which is
awesome.
an adaptive version of basketball for people in wheelchairs. And one of the actors is a genuinely paralyzed person.
Yeah.
And he was an actor.
Yeah.
And I saw this episode and I knew that he was genuinely disabled. And it was the first experience in my life where I actually saw, even though he didn't have exactly the same condition as me, I saw somebody in a wheelchair that was doing something. And he was a guy in a wheelchair. And I was like, oh, I'm a guy in a wheelchair too. So I might as well give it a go. And that's where it started.
That's awesome. That's like, I'm glad that you remember that, because there are very few people who know where it comes from, like what the thing was that kind of was like, like I see that, I know that. For me in particular too, it's less of an episode, more of like a core memory of like listening to podcasting while I was in college. And it was the kind of singular thing of like it tying back to like, you can do it too. Just give it a shot, try something new, dive right in. It was like a combination of a couple of episodes of listening to a podcast that made me want to start this. And I wish it was more like concrete, where it was like just one thing that stood out, but there's like many things. And the fact that you have a singular episode that you could go back to like Zack and Cody and be like pinpoint, like, I remember watching this at age, 10, 11, 12, whatever it may be, and be like, that was the thing that propelled me. Was there, as you grew up and as you kind of went into like, hey, I think I want to try this, was there something that you were more fond of more than anything else? Was it the writing? Was it being in front of a crowd? Was it, something else that, I'm not asking the right question, but it's like, was there something else other than those simple things that were like, oh, I love this. This is one of the main reasons why I do this.
Absolutely. So it started very simply, and that is that entertainment is the only activity that I know of that doesn't require any modification or different rules compared to the non-disabled population.
Yeah.
Where we have the same expectations as the non-disabled performers, and at the same time we have equal pay for successful performances and equal opportunities for the big level performances. So at that level, I noticed that was a benefit to me and other disabled performers. And then beyond that, I just really enjoyed making people happy, and that people interacted with me in a healthier fashion. And to this day, I still enjoy it for that reason. And people, they see me not only not avoiding my disability, but actually doing something with it, creating my own opportunity from this situation that I have.
I kind of get it, because I think in society, or just overall, like the idea of someone having a disability, the first thing you want is to give them compassion. And that's a lot of the times has nothing to do with laughing or comedy or entertainment. But compassion, I feel like, draws in some of the unwarranted, like, oh, I don't want to make fun of them because I don't know if they're cool with that. Or like, I don't want to do bits with them because I don't know if they're cool with doing bits about their disability or things like that. I think when you are introduce someone who has a disability in a format that's like, oh, they are making fun of themselves, or, oh, they are making entertainment out of something that is a stigma. It shows to us or the person who doesn't have the disability that they're open to sharing and they're open to communicating about it. And they have no warrants of like, if you make fun of me about this, it's okay because I get it and I will kind of joke about it as well. So I think that that's something I don't know why people. I know why people actually do that, but I'm also like, I wish we had a little bit more openness to one another to know, be like, oh, it's not something to be afraid of. It's not something to run away from. You can still joke around and you can still have a wonderful conversation with someone who does have a disability.
Absolutely. I agree that any comedy and any form of entertainment is a great way to break barriers and open communication about disability or complicated scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of bringing up disability in, just a regular context, I know that people have more hesitation with doing that. And maybe there's some merit to that because I noticed, I was born disabled, but I noticed people getting disabled, later in life, and they're less open to speaking about their disability, even toward other disabled people. Sometimes they don't even want to talk about it among other disabled people. So yes, there's some variance there, but I just encourage everyone to try to be open-minded. Of course, not every disabled person wants to talk about their disability like I do, but a lot of us do. And, there's some bad apples like there are in every population, but I just encourage you to treat us like individuals. If you like someone, that's great. If not, then, that's fine as well.
Thank you, Philip, because that really does mean a lot to me to have someone who gets it and it really is an ambassador for the community to be like, hey, we're there like everything else. There are a few that don't want to, but there are a good majority of those who want to share and those who are okay with communicating and wanting to, just be normal or just like be themselves, be okay with who they are and be just have a regular conversation about life or about something funny. So I definitely appreciate that, you being someone who's comfortable with themselves and having these conversations and these dialogues. So I'll move further into kind of the daily grind and what you kind of do on a more I like to go in the weeds with someone with what they do. And so one of the things that I've had another comedian recently on here, and one of the things I had a conversation with her about is how they, coordinate or at least how they get a lot of their ideas solidified. And do you write your stuff down? Are you good at memorizing? Do you have a notes app that you keep on your phone? Like, how do you generate your ideas and make them more concrete for yourselves?
For me, a big part of my content is what I go through on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
I live alone, so in order for me to get ideas, I like to go out different places and just observe the world around me. You can extract funny moments or funny situations from almost anywhere. So I get more inspired by being out in the world.
Great.
And that creates challenges and opportunities. And that's where a lot of my content comes from. So that's my starting point. And then when I come up with, usually I don't write full jokes when I'm out in public.
Yeah.
But if I think of an idea, I write down the premise, and then when I'm back at home, I do full, writing sessions.
Nice.
In public is where I get the premises, and then I write privately. And I practice at home and I practice among other comedians. That
Nice.
way, when somebody's paying money, paying for tickets to a show, they're getting my best material, my best performance.
Absolutely.
Because I do recognize the sacrifice people make when they're paying for tickets to my shows, and so I want to be sure that I'm giving the best performance that I can.
I'm sorry. The one thing that I really want to testify on is, yes, how much you rely on not only your ability to be in the moment of like the situational bits where you're like writing down the premise, because I find myself in the same manner. I like to write down what I think is funny because I'm always put in situations that I feel like are unique enough that they have a bit or some kind of humor in it. And to extrapolate that, I feel like is a unique superpower in itself to make it entertaining. So I just do it more of like a reflex in life of like, oh, this was funny. I can't believe this happened to me. I'll write it down in a notes app and I'll literally forget about it. And then I open up my notes app and it's there. And my hardest part is getting past that initial thought of here is the setup. How do I even make it funnier by adding jokes in and stuff like that? I think it's a true testament to those comedians who like really, like you said, have those sessions, those writing sessions, and take it even further because it's initially easy enough to write down a premise or a bit, but I think it's even harder to like, okay, well, what at the core value of this or what at the core of this makes it most entertaining for, let's say a show, like either a TV show or an in-person comedy show. How do we take it further or how do we manipulate it so that it fits better in the context of a moment like that?
Yes, I agree with that. Writing sessions, they can be challenging, but in order to have the best material and the best performance, they are necessary. But just having good writing, that's only one part of the process. Then there's delivery and giving the humor and the performance in the right manner. So it's engaging, entertaining to the audience, and it's memorable so that they tell their friends and other associates to come and see us in the future.
Yeah. You brought up, utilizing and getting help from other comedians for your ideas in those writing sessions. Are you like having people come to your house? Or are you like going to comedy shows and like kind of just like, hey, here's what I was thinking. How do I punch this up a bit? How did those moments work with you?
Well, to start, comedy is a unique industry in that there's multiple levels of comedy. Like you can go to a bar, have a couple drinks, get on stage, and say some jokes. And then there's more professional versions or environments. So for starters, I put myself around more professional environments of comedy.
Yeah.
And so being around other people that are where I'm at or trying to get where I'm trying to go, that's a big part of it. Mm-hmm. And then I think comics are supportive of other comics in the sense that there's usually 3 or 4 comics on one show.
Yeah.
So the goal as a comic is to make sure that the entire show is a good show. Of course, we're only responsible for our own performance. But if let's say all 4 comics are good within a show, then we leave a good impression on the audience, and that helps us all get booked for the next show. So of course, on a selfish level, we all want to be good, for ourselves. But for the industry, it's helpful if everybody on a particular show is good.
Yeah.
So that's why those collaborations are very helpful and essential to us.
Yeah. So you're bringing up the idea of like, things that you do for work and just like how the environment is built for it. And one of the things that I want to make sure that we hit upon is you're going to be actually at a show and doing a show coming up April 9th. So before I forget and move away from it, I would love for you to kind of give us how much you're excited about it and what it's even just give us a synopsis of who's going to be there and what you're most excited for that moment.
Absolutely. So I don't know when this is going to be published, but I'm performing Wednesday, April 9th in Phoenix, Arizona at Desert Ridge Improv. That's 21001 North Tatum Boulevard in Phoenix, Arizona.
Nice.
It's Desert Ridge Improv. And the show is called the Dirty Dozen Comedy Show. It's 12 of the Phoenix area's dirtiest comedians. And the 12 of us are going to be doing a set. And we're going to be entertaining the crowd. It's going to be dirty. It's going to be fun. And we look forward to having whoever wants to go. And I hope some of you listening will be there.
That's going to be great. I have no doubt that there's going to be more than enough people to fill up a whole crowd up at Desert Ridge. I've actually, I've never been to the Desert Ridge Improv, so I might be one of those that is coming along to go check it out because I would love to see the space. And on top of that, I'd love to see you, Phillip. That would be really cool and fun to check out.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm sure the ticket link will be in the show notes.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, tickets are still available. So please come through if you're feeling it. And we promise we won't disappoint.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I'd love getting into, as well as the minutia of what you do, is also kind of looking towards goal setting in the future and what comes of the thing that you are most passionate about. So I imagine as you've evolved and just kind of moved from one piece of comedy show to another, you've kind of taken in who's doing what. You've kind of gotten your fill of, those who are colleagues of you and what you're capable of doing. As you've grown and matured, what are some of the highlights or things that you are looking forward to in the future with this as your primary source of business and income and all of this? Like, are there things like, I know one of the things that I thoroughly enjoy is like roasts, the things that are more, not exclusive, but just very few and far between. They don't come up regularly. There are things that you are looking forward to doing.
Oh, yes. So right now, my main goal in comedy is to get to the point where I can go on tour and perform around the United States and eventually around the world. And to do that, I need to continue building my following locally and on social media. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I will do it. But that's what I want to do in comedy. Nice. And there's also different ways that I'm trying to create new ways to have comedy available to people who can't make it to a comedy club.
Yeah.
And so to make comedy more accessible.
Yeah.
To people, and on the business side, to create more revenue streams from comedy other than people going to the comedy club. Of course, as a comic, we love and need people at the comedy club. So please continue to support us. But, we understand that there needs to be multiple ways for you to come in and support. And so anything and everything is appreciated.
Yeah, I 100% agree, because there's levels of accessibility, especially the fact that's like there's more than one way to like view and entertainment like this, where especially during COVID, it was really seldom to see a comedy show in full mass. But then it started to become more prevalent to have these Zoom shows, and they've worked. They're not ideal, but they do have a place in the scope of things when they go down. And so I agree with you. There has to be opportunity for other means of accessibility, and what they look like, what I can't say, but it's like that's something that I feel like is very much an important piece, that as we've grown with things like COVID and things like learning how to live stream is something that has become more prevalent. And I want so badly for entertainment and comedy to really try their best to like diversify in these really cool revenue streams and cool opportunities, because there's something special that I think happens if you do it just right. I mean, I don't know if you've experienced it too, where it's like these live shows can happen in not private, but it's like smaller groups and then get broadcast out to larger groups. And it just works. It just seems to grow and grow in the mass audience that watches it on YouTube or watches it on the live stream. I think it's really important to kind of hone in and really try your best to diversify. I think it's going to be your most important route.
Absolutely. So myself and my fellow comedy colleagues, we're constantly working on new ways to become more accessible to audiences, to grow our opportunities, and to create a more stable experience financially for us as well.
Yeah. I think one of the other things that you were bringing into the limelight here is the fact that you are, again, trying to be as open and as diversified as possible, but it's like trying to find different opportunities. And the one thing that we brought up in your past is child acting and modeling and things like that. Would you be interested, or would you be open to, let's say, a movie part or a TV part that wasn't so much entertainment, but let's say did fill one need, which is a cup that being in front of the camera or something like that? Is that something that you would ever go back to, or something that you would ever try again?
Yes, I'm still interested in acting and modeling.
Awesome.
However, as a wheelchair performer in acting and modeling, there are just fewer opportunities for people in my demographic.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, I'm still interested in it, but there's fewer opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I still take classes, and I take opportunities if they're available, and I audition for things.
Yeah.
But they're just few and far between, particularly in acting. But any opportunity, I'm still open and interested in it.
Perfect. The fact that you still have the sensibility to like take a class, sign up and try and apply yourself. There's still effort on your end for wanting to be in the entertainment world in that department, like whether it's like through acting pieces or through any modeling. It leaves an opportunity open and available for you. And I have no doubt if you keep trying like that, where you're like, hey, it may not be open and diverse as like, comedy or entertainment in this route, but the fact that you have the willingness and the openness to say, hey, I'm open to the challenge, or I'm open to, if someone lets me in the door, I'm ready to go. It says a lot about you, because that isn't the same for, let's say, other people who are just solely focused on that. I think it will give you a leg up, or in the sense of like, let's say there's something that does come and you're like, hey, easy, let's do it. Let's try it and let's see how it goes. I 100% am a person who believes when those opportunities do come, take full advantage of it, because there are, there is no doubt that's like this A leads to a definite B, whether it's something that you are interested or not, but at least you have A as a stepping stone to an opportunity to B. And then that will lead to C and so on and so forth. So there's just definitely like being able to leave the door open is better than closing it shut and saying, hey, no to that.
Oh yes, the entertainment industry, I noticed, is very, you have to have a good performance, and a good performance leads to the next performance,
Yeah.
and that performance leads to the next one, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I'm very aware, and we all are very aware that every performance matters, whether it's in front of 10 people or in front of 100 people or whatever the case. Every performance, we need to give our best, and we need to give it a serious effort, and I certainly do.
Yeah. Can I ask you one very particular question? Is there someone in comedy that you would love to work with? Like, is there someone who you either idolize or just find very interesting enough to like, hey, I want to try to write with them or try and get, have a conversation with them?
That's a good question. I do have comics that I enjoy. However, I try not to pay extreme attention to them, in that I don't want to, become like them or intersect identity. I think one of the beauties of comedy is that you survive and you thrive more from being yourself rather
Very
than
much so.
performing. So everybody is a little bit different, or a lot of it a bit different, and so it's good to be on a show where there's different themes of material.
Yeah.
And so it's not very common or likely, for example, that you'll see 2 wheelchair comedians or 3 wheelchair comedians on the same show, because we're the same. Even though we're all unique individuals, it's not common to have the same material themes, and so I do enjoy comics, but I just like to work with people. I would like to work with people that are a little bit different than me.
Sure.
That way we can open doors for one another.
Yeah. I also think that there's a level of like perception of like where you stand and versus someone, let's say, very much on the other side. The perspective of views really helps out flesh out what your idea is when you're trying to work together, because having that open dialogue, especially from different perspectives, will allow for each individual to see, okay, well, I miss this because I'm so much looking from this perspective versus you looking at it from this angle and I see something completely different. So the fact that having someone who's, kind of particularly opposite, or just overall, like from a different view angle, will allow you to like open new opportunities, because it does really show like the full scope and range of what you're trying to get at or what you're trying to reach as far as, let's say, a comedy bit or like a joke or something like that. Because I think having that perspective really does give you like range. It gives you, oh, okay, I didn't see that before. Now I can kind of look at it from that angle, and that gives me more context.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being a part of the show. I really did enjoy talking with you, Phillip. I think you have a very special and unique perspective. But on top of that, I think the person who you are comes from a very, very special place. And I look forward to seeing more of your comedy and your entertainment through social media. I hope to see you in person coming soon. Before we go, I usually leave it to the individual, yourself, to share with everyone who's listening where they can find you online, your social media handles, everything and anything. And then we already talked about the big show on the 9th, but if you have another show that you want to promote, go right ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Jose. So on social media, I promote my Instagram and my YouTube channel. It's Phillip, Phillip. Then my last name, B as in boy, R-A. And then M like Mary, W-E-L-L. Then the word coach, C-O-A-C-H. So we put it together, Phillip Bramwell Coach. It's the same on Instagram and YouTube. Please follow me and subscribe on YouTube. In addition to that, as a comedian, it's important and essential that we have support from our followers in order to get booked and to get more opportunities. So if you see a clip of mine online that you enjoy, please don't hesitate to share it, tag me and a local comedy club near you. That way it helps us get booked, especially when we're out of state. So in my case, I live in Arizona. Most of my shows are in Arizona. But if I want more opportunities on a greater scale, it requires support from outsiders like you. So thank you, and hopefully we can meet one day at a show of mine.
Well, thank you, Phillip. I really do have high hopes, and I know that you're going to do just well. I'm very excited. I'm going to subscribe to your YouTube channel right after this. But again, I have high hopes for just the person that you are and just your understanding of what it takes and how much you should be striving for this, something that you love and you're passionate about. I know that you have a good head on your shoulders, and everything that you are developing and everything that you're challenging yourself with will come to fruition. And we're just going to be a little helping hand with our audience to just give you the kudos and give you the roses that you deserve. So that being said, we do have an outro for our podcast. You can hear every episode of our podcast at findingarizonapodcast.com. All of our social media handles is under Finding Arizona Podcast. Last but not least, we always end every conversation with a kisses, hugs, and belly rubs to our four-legged friends. And we will see you all next time. Bye.
Thank you.